Hello, everybody. This is Alan Elman, the Blue Collar Investor, welcoming you to this BCI podcast number 133, titled Rolling Covered Calls Out and Up Means Adding Cash to the Position. We're going to be using both a hypothetical and a real-life example with Intel Corp, which trades on the NASDAQ exchange under the ticker INTC. The purpose of this podcast is just a reminder that when we do roll our covered call trades out and up, that there is a cost factor where we have to add additional cash to the position. So we must have that additional cash in our brokerage account to give us the flexibility to institute this exit strategy opportunity. So let's start off this podcast by defining what is rolling out and up for our covered call trades. Well, it is one of the exit strategies available to us and one that we frequently take advantage of. We initiate this exit strategy on or near expiration Friday. It's rare that we'll roll out and up early or mid-contract. Now, we also make the assumption that the current or near month call is in the money. Otherwise, we don't really have to roll that option. We could let it expire worthless and then make our next step move the following Monday after expiration Friday. So what we do is we buy back the current or near month covered call and sell to open the next contract cycle higher strike price. Now, this frequently will result in a time value credit, not always, but we must add the intrinsic value component to the trade when we buy to close. Now, if we're simply rolling out, the intrinsic value component will be the same for our buy to close and sell to open positions. But when we roll out and up, the intrinsic value component to close that position is going to be greater than the intrinsic value if we roll out and up to an in-the-money strike. The main point I want to make here is that we have to add cash to our position in the form of intrinsic value when we close the current month trade. Let's start with a hypothetical example, then we'll move on to the Intel real life example. Let's say we buy 100 shares of a stock at $80. I'm using big numbers now to make a point. We then sell the $100 deep out of the money call for $3. Now at expiration, the price of the stock went from 80 to 120, leaving that $100 call strike deep in the money. We then buy to close that 100 call. How much is it going to cost us? Well, if the stock is trading at 120 and we sold the $100 strike, we know that we're going to have to pay at least $20 per share of intrinsic value. And let's assume we close the trade right around 4 p.m. Eastern time on expiration Friday, so the time value will be close to zero. Let's call it 10 cents. So the total cost to buy to close that $100 strike with the stock trading at 120 would be $20.10. Now we go to sell the next month 140, again deep out of the money call for $3 in this hypothetical. Well, we have a time value credit because the time value was only 10 cents on the buy to close. But we do have to add $2,000 per contract of intrinsic value, $20 per share, to keep the trade viable. Now, the good news is now we have a stock that's worth $20 more than the previous strike would allow. Remember, initially, the $80 stock was bought at 80, but we sold it at a $100 strike, meaning the price of the stock could never be worth more than $100 as long as that strike was in place. But when we bought to close that 100 strike, now our shares bumped up to 120. So we do have an unrealized share value gain from the previous strike of $20 per share. Again, it's unrealized because we didn't yet sell the stock. However, we did have to have that additional cash on hand to close the original $100 covered call trade. Let's move on now to a real life example with Intel, which on 3/19/2021 was trading at 64.50. Now the $60 call was in place. And to close that, we would have to spend how much money? Well, if the price is 64.50 and we had the 60 call in place, we know that's $4.50 per share of intrinsic value. Let's say it was right around 4 p.m. Eastern time on expiration Friday, so we only had to spend 5 cents of time value, making the buy to close premium $4.55. Now, at that time, the 4/16/2021, nearly a 1 month expiration, 65 call, we rolled up and out from the 60 to the 65 next month, generated $2.37 according to the option chains at that point in time. So once again, we're rolling out to the next contract month, and we're rolling up from the 65 strike to the 65 strike from the 60 strike, rolling out and up. Now, we did have a time value credit. The time value for the 65 strike was 237. That was all time value because that was an out of the money call. And the time value component of the buy to close premium was only 5 cents. So we did have a time value credit of $2.32. And that represented a 3.87% 1 month return. But we had cash required to add to the trade. It was negated by an increase in share value, but that cash requirement was $450 per contract. Now, once again, that represents the intrinsic value component of the 455 buy to close premium debit. Once again, the point here is the following. We have to have cash available in our account to roll out and up this in the money trade. Now, for those of you who are also watching this podcast, I'm now showing a screenshot of the option chains for the March 2021 and April 2021 contracts. And the one on the left showing the March shows an ask price for the 60 strike of $4.55, with Intel trading at 64.50. And at the very same time, the bid price to then sell the 65 rolled out and up strike was 237. Those are the stats that we used to calculate in the previous slide. Now let's summarize. Rolling an in-the-money covered call out and up will frequently, but not always, result in a time value credit. Now, if it doesn't result in a credit, we would still consider it if the unrealized share price increase made the trade results worth our while. We would have to have a lot of confidence in the underlying security to do that. Now, in order to accomplish this, we need cash. We need additional cash to pay for the intrinsic value component of that buy to close debit. Now, this additional intrinsic value cash that we need is neutralized at the time of the trade by the unrealized increase in share value from the original strike price to the lower of the current market value or the new strike. Because if we roll out and up to an in-the-money strike, that is the amount of unrealized share value that we have. In other words, if we roll out and up to the 65 strike and the stock is trading at 66, we can't count unrealized share profit to 66, only to 65. So this means that we can roll out and up to an in-the-money strike, the one I just described, and at the money strike, the price was 65, and we rolled out and up to a 65 strike. That would be rolling out and up to an at the money strike, or to an out of the money strike, which was the case with Intel, which was trading below 65 and we sold the 65 strike, which was, of course, considered then out of the money. Before I close up this BCI podcast, I want to remind everyone of our best and most comprehensive educational product, our BCI package. It has 18 components, 6 online video courses with downloadable workbooks, 6 calculators invented by the blue-collar investor and therefore found nowhere else, 5 of our best-selling books in ebook format, and our annualized premium membership, which is 13 months of membership, including our 4 watch lists for stocks and exchange-traded funds, as well as our continuous and never-ending online trading videos. And at this point in time, there are over 200 of them on the premium member site, in addition to many other perks like free ebooks, expanded calculators, and so on. You can get more information on our BCI package by going to our website, thebluecollarinvestor.com, and clicking on the link at the top of our web pages that says BCI package. You can also purchase all of our products individually by going to thebluecollarinvestor.com and clicking on our store link, and there you have our online video courses, ebooks, hard and soft cover books, calculators, spreadsheets, and information on our one-on-one mentoring program. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you very much for taking the time to listen to and or watch this BCI podcast number 133. Rolling covered calls out and up means adding cash to the position. Folks, I hope you enjoyed this presentation, and most importantly, I hope it puts cash in your pockets. As always, this is Alan Ellman, the Blue Collar Investor. Take care, everybody.